What's up guys, my name is Ace, and with the last big patch that we had that changed a bunch of the weapons, Infinity Ward actually slipped a few things under the radar. There were a few other weapon balancing changes that were made, and I'm going to be sharing those today. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so first off, I want to say there may be even more hidden changes that were made, but these are the ones that people have been kind of mentioning to me. They've been saying, oh, I think this happened, or I think this got changed. And most of the time, I kind of dismiss that a little bit, especially when it comes down to like, oh, the recoil got reduced on this. Because a lot of times there's just a bit of a placebo effect going on and nothing actually changed. But I actually did the hand testing on this, and it's very clear that some changes were made to a few of the guns. So like I said, there may be even a couple more that I missed, but these are three big ones that I was able to find. And the first one is very obvious once I actually did the hand testing. At first, I didn't really believe it. I thought it was just a placebo thing when people were telling me about it, but the X-Eon or the Xeon got a pretty significant reduction to its recoil. As you can see here, this is pre-patch from my gun guide episode on the Xeon, and as you can see, the first few rounds, there's very little recoil, and then it kicks up quite strong vertically. Now just today I tested the Xeon again at the exact same range, 3 magazines, exactly the same setup, and as you can see there's almost no vertical recoil anymore, but there's a lot more horizontal recoil. So they significantly reduced the vertical recoil, but they definitely increased the horizontal recoil, so you could say that it's a lot easier to control, but in some ways it's actually a little bit more difficult to control the Xeon now. So that was the first update. The second one, unfortunately I don't have any pre-patch footage to compare with and show, but it does appear the Auger got a pretty noticeable decrease to its recoil as well. This is something that I'm not 100% sure of because, like I said, I don't have anything to compare side by side with, but I've been getting a lot of reports from people saying that they feel the Auger got significantly reduced recoil, and when I've used it as well, it also feels like there is less recoil. So I believe this got a pretty noticeable reduction to its recoil, but I can't say with absolute certainty. And finally, moving on to the third update, I think this is going to surprise a lot of people. It really surprised me when I saw this. The Trencher got a very noticeable buff to its ranges. Right here is the pre-patch ranges. This is what I hand tested for my Trencher gun guide just a couple weeks ago. And as you can see, it's got a pretty decent 3-shot kill range, and it drops down to a 6-shot kill range just after 20 meters. Just today, I hand tested the Trencher again, and these are the new range values. As you can see, pretty much every single one of the damage ranges got a very noticeable increase, and I don't really see why they felt the need to do this. I felt like the Trencher was a very viable, very powerful gun before this patch, and they gave it quite a noticeable buff. But I guess this means that Suppressor is a lot more viable on the Trencher now. Before this patch, I was always saying never use Suppressor on the Trencher. Now it's much more viable because you've got that extra range as your base range, so it's okay to reduce that a little bit, I find. It's still a very competitive gun with a suppressor. But again, I just don't really understand the need for this buff. So there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for today's quick video. If you guys have any other updates that you think, or things that you think got changed in this update that weren't mentioned in the patch notes and weren't mentioned in this video, please let me know in the comment section below. I might do some hand testing on it, and if it's really big enough, if it's worth making a video on, I might do another video on some hidden updates, assuming there were other ones that were made. In addition to this, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you think about these hidden updates that were made? Personally, I don't think any of these updates really needed to be made. I think the Xeon, that was kind of one of the downsides, is it had that high recoil after your first few shots, and therefore that was the skill behind it. If you landed your first few shots, then you could be very successful with the Xeon. But if you missed your first few shots, then that recoil would kick in and you would get punished. The Auger reduction, I can see that one a little bit more. I can see why they wanted to reduce the recoil a bit because, I mean, that gun already has to like dial up its fire rate, and that takes some time and everything. It can be a very difficult gun to use at times. So I can understand a little bit of a recoil reduction there. And like I said with the Trencher, I really see no need whatsoever for that hidden buff. Another thing I'd like to mention is, why do these hidden buffs? Why not just include them in the patch notes? Maybe there's just some miscommunication between the people that were actually making the changes and the people that put out the patch notes, but overall, I'm not really a big fan when they try to sneak things under the radar like this. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.